Hey boys and girls, welcome to video 2 of lesson 15. Please turn in your SABs to page 248. We will do 5 and 6 together and then you'll do the rest on your own. Okay? So if we look at our directions first, it says answer each question. Okay? So those are pretty simple directions, aren't they? It doesn't say solve the problem, do this or that. It says just answer each question. So what you need to get into the habit of, boys and girls, is knowing how not only to answer the questions, but also how to show your work to help you answer the questions, okay? So you can be thinking about the process while you're doing the work. Does that make sense? So let's look at the question. Adair subtracted 595 from 834. So my first idea, or my first thought is, okay, what does that mean? What does it mean that Adair subtracted 595 from 834? Well, to help me, I'm going to write the problem out because I know it's a subtraction problem because it says Adair subtracted, right? It says Adair subtracted. So I'm going to write the subtraction problem. Do you see how I'm thinking it through, boys and girls, to help myself? So if Adair subtracted 595 from this number, that 834 must be the total. It must go on top, right? And it does help to see that that is the bigger number, right? In subtraction, we put the bigger number on top. But we know that Adair subtracted 595 from the 834, okay? So that's the problem that you should have written down. See how I did that? That's helping myself process the information and going to help me solve the questions in 5 and 6. That's what I want you guys to get into the habit of. You may not see a problem exactly like the ones we're doing, but how can you organize the information in your head to help you answer the questions, to make sure that you know what you're doing in the process, okay? Now, number 5 says, did she have to ungroup to make more tens? Explain. Well, it doesn't tell me to solve the problem, does it? No. But by solving the problem, it will help me solve or answer the question to number 5. So that's what I'm going to do. Even though it didn't tell me to solve the problem, I have written the problem out, and now I'm going to solve the problem to help me think about the process of it, right? So where do we start? Ones place, absolutely. So I'm going to start in my ones place, and I'm going to go through and solve the problem. Can I have 4 take away 5 in my ones place? Can I do that? Can I have 4 of something and take 5 away? No, I can't. So that means I'm going to have to go to my neighbor. Excuse me, Mr. Neighbor. Mr. Neighbor, can I borrow some? My neighbor is going to let me. So that means because I had to cross off my neighbor, I'm ungrouping him, right? I'm ungrouping in the tens place. So my 3 changes to a what? If that neighbor is going to give me one, what is that neighbor, what's the tens place going to change to? That's right, a 2. And now that neighbor is going to give me 1, right? It's going to give me a 10. So now I have more ones. So now 14 take away 5. Can I do that? Absolutely. So what is 14 take away 5? Remember, don't just wait for me to answer the question. You try to figure it out too. Help your brain grow and get stronger. 14 take away 5 is 9. Excellent. So now let's go to my tens place. Can I have 2 take away 9? No, I can't. I wish I could, but I can't. So I say again, excuse me, Mr. Neighbor. And I'm going to go to my 8, which is in the hundreds place. I'm going to say, 8, can I have some of yours? And so now I'm going to cross off the 8, and now that hundreds place is going to ungroup. I'm going to ungroup the hundreds place, right? And so that 8 is going to give me 1, so it changes to a, oopsies, 7. And so now I put that 1, oopsies, in front of the 2. So now it's no longer a 2, it's a 12. So now 12 take away 9. What is 12 take away 9? You answer that question in your head. That's right, it's 3. And now I can say in my hundreds place, 7 take away 5 is 2. So my difference, remember we talked about what the difference is? The answer to a subtraction problem? My difference is 239. Okay? Now let's go ahead and answer the questions. Number 5 said, did she have to ungroup to make more tens? And then it says, of course, explain. We're always explaining, right? Well, let's look at my tens. well, it doesn't say tens. It says, did she have to ungroup to make more tens? So here, I needed more tens somewhere, right? Here's my tens place, right here, right? Did I have to ungroup? That means I would have had to ungroup in my hundreds place to make more tens. Did I have to do that? I did. I had to ungroup my 8 to make more tens because I couldn't do it. So my answer is, did she have to ungroup in the to make more tens? Yes. So now it's time for the explain part. So did she have to ungroup to make more tens? Yes, she did. And now it says explain. Well, yes, she had to ungroup to make more tens because now if we look at my tens place right here, there were more tens in the bottom number than they were in the top. In the bottom here, there were 9 tens. In the top number, there was 3 tens. So yes, we had to ungroup to make more tens. Yes, because the bottom number had more tens. And remember, boys and girls, when we're doing subtraction like this, our top number has to have more than the bottom number. Of course, we know that the biggest number goes on top, but each place has to have a bigger number on top as well, because otherwise we can't just subtract 9 from 3, right? We can't have $3 and then you say, hey, I want 9. I just can't do that, right? So that's my explanation. That's how I explained. Yes, we had to ungroup to make more tens because the bottom number had more tens than that top number, right? Is that making sense, boys and girls? How we had to answer that? Well, let's look at number 6. Let me kind of take away from all the crazy. Hold on just a second. Okay, so now let's look at our number 6. Did she have to ungroup to make more ones? So did we have to make more ones? Did we have to ungroup to make more ones? Well, let's look in our ones place. That top number, well, look at all this work we did right here, right? That means that we had to ungroup in the tens place. That's why we crossed off our 3. That tens place gave us something. We had to borrow from the tens place, right? So we ungrouped the tens place to give us that 14 in the ones place, right? So yes, did she have to ungroup to make more ones? Yes, she did, right? And can you see that process, boys and girls, of the ungrouping here? When we're crossing off a number and they're giving one to us, when we do our whole spiel on, excuse me, Mr. Neighbor, and that neighbor is giving us one, that's ungrouping. Okay, when we're borrowing, that's ungrouping. And so yes, she did. And let's think about why, because we have to explain it, right? We always have to explain why we're doing something. That's really great higher level thinking when we have to do that. So why did we have to do that? Well, let's look. Look at that bottom number again. That's a 5. And look at this top number. It's a 4. You can't have $4 and take away 5. You just can't do that. So again, our bottom number was bigger than that top number, right? So our 5 had more ones than the top number. And so let's say it a little different way. I'll show you that there's multiple ways you can write this down, but I'm going to write it a little differently than I did number 5. So yes, the bottom number has how many? The bottom number right here, 595, the bottom number has 5 ones. And the top number, how many ones does the top number have, boys and girls? Let's look at that top number. How many ones does it have? That's right, it has 4. So the bottom number has 5 ones, and the top number has 4 ones. Are you getting the hang of that, boys and girls? Are you understanding why we have to ungroup? Are you understanding by looking at a problem when you're ungrouping and when you're not ungrouping? In the previous page, on the previous video that we did, we didn't have to ungroup anything. Sometimes you have to ungroup, sometimes you don't. So you need to be able to identify that and understand why. Okay? So I want you to go ahead and try to do 7, 8, 9, and 10 on your own. Remember, take a chance. It's okay to fail sometimes as long as you keep trying. Check with your teacher when you're done.